What's up, y'all? So we're on 786 here for Diablo 4. Patch notes have just been released. So we're going to read through these. I'm downloading the patch in the background. Once we go through all the patch notes, we'll hop in. We're going to do some testing, see what they buffed, how much they buffed it, see if it's going to be worthwhile. And over the next couple of days, as things kind of, flesh out, we're going to see what class we're going to be playing for season 1, Season of the Malignant, which goes live in, what's the countdown? 47 hours, 44 minutes, and 15 seconds. If you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Everybody else, if you're coming back, welcome back. Let's get to the patch notes. All right, I'm going to blow this up. All right, so for information about Season Malignant's themes offering, which will begin on July 20th, visit this article. Maybe we'll check that afterwards. So, new unique items and legendary aspects. New unique items and legendary aspects have been discovered in Sanctuary. Use them to enhance your characters in the eternal or seasonal realm. These unique items can be obtained from World Tier 4, and legendary aspects can be obtained from any World Tier. There are 6 unique items, the general ones. Avarian Spear of Lycander, Uber Unique Staff, World Tier 4, gain a random shrine effect for 10 to 20 seconds after killing an elite enemy. Can only occur once every 30 seconds. The developers know. Avarian Spear of Lycander is extremely rare drop. We wish you luck recovering it from the armies of burning hells. So when they say extremely rare drop, is this another one of the Uber uniques, I guess? So this will be number 7, I'm assuming. Barbarian. So these are the class specific ones. So this is the general unique, and then the next 5 are for each class. Barbarian. Zurath is coming back. Nice. Unique sword. Lucky hit. Your core skills have up to a 20% chance to freeze enemies for 3 seconds and deal 0.7 to 1.5 cold damage to them. Could be all right. I guess it depends on what some of the malignant like stones are going to do. This could be good, I guess. It's going to be, because mind you, we're only getting a little bit of these. I don't know if later on in these patch notes, let's see, just out of curiosity. Oh, this is long. Okay. Maybe they'll give us some more insight into what some of the malignant stones will do, but maybe there's going to be something that goes along with freeze. Then you're going to be really doing a crap ton of cold damage as a barbarian, which would be interesting. We'll have to see how this pans out. Druid, Flesh Render, unique one-handed mace. Debilitating Roar and Bloodhell deal 0.5 to 1.0 damage to nearby poisoned enemies. So this will be really good for the poison build, actually for the Lightning Shred, because if you pop your Debilitating Roar or Bloodhell, because Bloodhell, you're using that literally all the time, you're going to be able to do just extra damage every single time that you're doing that. That'll be nice. That'll be just an extra damage. I don't know what the one-handed mace intrinsic is, so maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see, because the intrinsic on axes, I think, is close damage. I'm not sure what the one-handed mace is. We'll check it when we get in game. Necromancer unique. Lidless Wall, unique shield. Lucky hit. While you have an active Bone Storm, hitting an enemy outside of Bone Storm has a 5 to 25% chance to spawn an additional Bone Storm at their location. Wow. Each of your active sacrifice bonuses increases the chance by 25%. So that means if you've sacked all 3, your golem, your warriors, and your mages or whatever, not the mages, but there's 3 of them, then that means you're going to get a 75%. That means you potentially get a 100% chance. So you could have this up all the time that you have your Bone Storm up. That's insane. Each time you saw, okay. So each time an enemy is hit outside of a Bone Storm, so if you're using Bone Spear, you're just hitting shit on the outside, there's just going to be just Bone Storms everywhere. That's going to be really crazy for FPS, because I feel like if the whole screen is just full of Bone Storms, that's going to be wild. It's just Bone Storm, Bone Storm, Bone Storm, Bone Storm. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm not really sure with Bone Spear, because I haven't really played it. If you use shield, you probably do. I don't know. I've seen a mix of like two-handers and shield and one-handers, but I don't know. All right, Rogue. Eagle Horn, unique bow. Penetrating shot has a 30 to 80% chance to fire an arrow that bounces off walls and scenery. Hitting enemies from behind with penetrating shot will make them vulnerable for 3 seconds. Yo! So instead of using a crossbow, they're going to make it where you might potentially want to use this unique bow. It says 30 to 80% chance to fire an arrow that bounces off walls and scenery. I don't know, because the intrinsic with bows is distant damage, whereas the intrinsic with a crossbow, I think it's either vulnerable. Is it vulnerable damage or crit damage? It's either one of those. Either way, I don't know if that's going to be worth it. I guess we'll have to see what other bonuses as far as like affixes come with the eagle horn. That could be good for penetrating shot. A lot of the problems with a lot of the uniques is they sound cool, but then a lot of some of the intrinsic affixes that come with it, or the affixes that come with it, aren't as good. So it would have to be really worthwhile to lose the crit. I'm pretty sure it's crit damage on crossbows in order to use the penetrating shot. We'll have to see how this pans out, though. We'll just have to see how this pans out. And then the sorcerer, we got the final unique that they're releasing for season 1. Or just, with this patch. The Oculus unique wand gain the effect of teleport enchantment for free. When you evade using teleport enchantment, you are taken to a random location. Developer's note. The Azor Wrath and Flesh Render unique items have flat damage effects which scale with power. For example, 820 item power, Azor Wrath deals blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's flat and it scales with the item power. Got it. So, again, it's going to be like what affixes come with the wand are going to make it better than having a dagger, because you want dagger because you get close damage with dagger. And a lot of the times with the builds, at least currently, and we haven't read the rest of these patch notes yet, mind you, as it sits currently, it's just going to be one of those things where we have to see what... We're going to have to see what affixes come with the Oculus to see if it's going to be worthwhile. Again, it's going to be like, well, I'm going to lose like 20 to 30% close damage. With wand damage, you get crowd control, which, I mean, that's... You're not crowd controlling all the time. I guess it depends on your build too. We'll have to see what everything else pans out. New legendary aspects. So the general, so it seems like this is the theme here. They have a general and then some extra ones. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This says 7. Oh, okay. There's 2 in this one. Okay. So there's 2 general ones. Audacity, where there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them for 2 to 4 seconds. This can occur only once every 20 seconds. Man, that's going to be crazy with raiment. That's going to be really crazy with raiment, because that's going to be another way to stun. Holy crap. That's going to be wild. It's going to be really good for mobbing, but obviously not for bossing. Craven. It's a mobility aspect. This is a utility aspect. Craven, the mobility aspect. You gain 20 to 40% increased movement speed when moving away from slowed or chilled enemies. I mean, I don't know. Probably won't use it. Barbarian, ancestral charge. Charge calls forth 4 ancients who also charge, dealing 5 to 100% normal damage. I guess if we were running a charge build, that'd be cool. Druid, subterranean, offensive aspect. Poison creepers active also cast landslide in a circle around you. Wait, what? Dude, that's going to be crazy for fucking slide build. The whatever that shit is called, the landslide build where you like slide. Earth skills deal 10 to 20% increased damage to poison enemies. So what? You'll want to one poison creeper. I guess I never ran that build, but I feel like that could get silly, because if your poison creepers are casting landslide, I'm wondering if that procs the other aspect where each of the landslides cast another landslide. I wonder if that will dip into that as well. That'd be interesting to test out to see. Necromancer, gore quills, defensive aspect. Blood lance will consume blood orbs to also conjure lances from them. Each additional blood lance deals 20 to 50% of normal damage and prioritizes targeting unlanced enemies. I have no idea if that's good or not. I haven't really played a whole lot of Necromancer, so Rogue, pestilent points, an offensive aspect. Every third cast of puncture is poison imbued with 100 to 150% of normal potency. That could be good. It's basically a free way to get damage. I don't know if you'd want to trade that out for another offensive aspect where you're going to be, again, we have to see what the other changes are, what some of the stones are going to be. Because on paper, like, these are like, okay, some of these are like, meh, I don't know if that's good or not. It's going to, I'm sure, going to have a lot to see how they interact with a lot of the malignant stones that you're going to get throughout the season. So, I mean, this could be insane because maybe there's something else that buffs imbued potency, or maybe that buffs, poison damage. Maybe poison is going to be really huge this season because this is also a poison ability with druids. Maybe poison's going to be buffed or something. I don't know. Sorcerer, Searing Ward's offensive aspect. After spending 200 to 100 mana, your next firewall is free to cast and will destroy incoming small missiles. I guess if you're running the firewall build, that'd be cool because then you'd just be blocking all projectiles, which would be nice. You wouldn't really have to worry about range. It does say small missiles, so then I'm assuming like big attacks that are range aren't going to be like if you're fighting a world boss, those beams that come out of that undead world boss are not going to be blocked, but most other small stuff. But again, that's one of these things with like how they term certain things. It's very ambiguous. Well, what's small, like it doesn't say small missiles are arrows, blah, 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 blah. From elites, certain attacks, blah, 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 blah. It just says small missiles. So it's ambiguous of what that's actually going to destroy. So could be good, could be shit. Who knows? Bug fixes, accessibility, made various improvements with accessibility, perspective, primarily mini fixes to the screen reader where it failed to read specific elements. Challenges, fixed multiple issues with specific challenges, wouldn't provide the proper rewards or could not be completed. Proper. I don't know. Fixed multiple issues where certain challenges could be progressed through unintended means. Fix multiple issues where players could gain progress to certain challenges through actions of other nearby players. Fix multiple instances where activities that should count towards the criteria for some challenges were not counted. Fixed an issue where players would not receive notifications for when one of their friends completed a challenge. Fix an issue where feats of strength were not accounted for when calculating challenge completion percentage. The feat of strength Final Slayer of the First Mother now requires you to slay the level 100 pinnacle boss solo. The Silence is Hellish challenge remains unchanged. Fix an issue where the feats of strength, one of the first and early experience, did not display all the titles they were rewarded. Cooperative play changes. Fixed an issue where the camera wasn't functioning properly when players were far apart in local co-op. I didn't even know that was a thing. Fixed an issue where the NPC conversation boxes would overlap if multiple local co-op players talked to the same NPC at the same time. Fixed an issue where the rogue's inner sight would only fill up for one of the players in co-op session. Interesting. Fixed an issue where the dark potential challenge would be granted to both players when either player completed it regardless of the other player's progress. Fixed multiple instances where quest progress would not properly synchronize or quest progression would be blocked for local co-op players. Fixed multiple issues that occurred during cutscenes for co-op players. Dungeons. That's a decent amount of stuff for dungeon changes. Here we go. Fix an issue where the player would not be able to receive animus to progress through the Hallowed Ossuary dungeon. I know some of the dungeons were bugged. I remember going through when I was doing my renown grind, there was a certain dungeon in Kyrgyzstan that would just not progress. I went in and through it multiple times. I reset, I relogged. It was like in that big area where it's like a big desert, it was the dungeon that was like almost in the middle towards the bottom a little. And for some reason, it just would not progress. So I wonder, I don't think it was that one, but I hope it's one of those because I probably should have reported it, but yeah. Because you could get the renown doing other stuff. Like you're not pigeonholed into doing everything. You can pick and choose what you want to do. So I just skipped it and did like a couple of side quests and it was fine. Fix an issue where the stone carving in the Fallen Temple capstone dungeon would duplicate. Okay. Fix an issue where the monster region affix in a nightmare dungeon would also affect structures in that dungeon. That's a weird bug. Fix an issue where the goatmen and shambling corpse enemies would continuously respawn in the Forsaken Quarry dungeon. Fix an issue where the sentinel enemies would not have weapons in the Bastion of Faith dungeon. Fix an issue where the Bastion of Faith dungeon could sometimes not be completed. Maybe that was it. Fixed an issue where the player could respawn behind a barrier in the Fallen Temple capstone dungeon. Fixed an issue where the map of the Crusaders Cathedral dungeon was incomplete. Fix an issue where the curse of indolence and the curse of the weak would stack even while the player was dead in the Fallen Temple capstone dungeon. That's interesting. Fix multiple instances where the fog door could not be progressed through in some dungeons. I had seen that before. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, maybe it's just locking me out. Fix an issue where the Monster Thorns affix in Nightmare Dungeons was reflecting physical damage. It will now properly reflect non-physical damage. Oh, so it was supposed to reflect both. Interesting. Fix an issue where blood boils would not properly spawn in the core Dragon Barracks dungeon. Fix an issue where traps would deal more damage than intended. What traps? I guess for against players? Interesting. Fix an issue where level scaling in the level 100 Pinnacle dungeon was inconsistent. Level 100 Pinnacle dungeon was inconsistent. What? I don't know. Pinnacle, level 100. So that's Uber Lilith, right? Was inconsistent? What do they mean by that? Like, where the level scaling in the level... Fix an issue where the Awakened Glyphstone wouldn't spawn if the party leader left the dungeon before the dungeon was completed. Interesting. Gameplay. Here we go. We got some gameplay stuff, looks like, for all the classes. All right. Fix an issue where the number of enemies to defeat Barbarian class quest Masters of Battle was not displayed. Fix an issue where the Iron Maelstrom could be cast more than 3 times rapidly casting Warcry. Fix an issue where stacking the Berserk, Ripping, Skullbreaker, and Anemia aspects would allow the player to deal extreme amounts of damage. I don't know what build that is, but something just got really nerfed there, it seems like. Or I should say, is now working as intended, so you won't be able to do extreme amounts of damage. Fix an issue where the outer edge of the Quakes granted the Hammer of Ancients via the aspect of Ancestral Echoes was dealing far more damage than intended. Oh, and I think Moxie and some other people were talking about how, depending on where you land your Hammer of the Ancients, so the Hoda, you would do more damage by aiming off to the side versus directly. So that was a bug, and that was working as intended. Interesting. So that's a nerf, or, correcting how it's supposed to be working. We recognize this adjustment as a significant decrease to the Hammer of the Ancients Barbarian build, literally what I just was talking about, but we do not want this strength to be relying on an underlying bug. Fair enough. That's fair. Druid. Fix an issue where Earth skills and the Pulverize skill will not consume 2 overpower buffs simultaneously. Fix an issue where the bonus effect of Blood Howl from Night Howler's aspect would apply twice to Wolf Companions, but not at all for Ravens. So I guess Companions, that's interesting. Fix an issue where the Provocation passive stacks wouldn't update properly after adding more points to it. Fixed an issue where the automatic transformation from Insatiable Fury would cause the Ursine Strength Key passive to not proc consistently. I'm not familiar with that. Fix an issue where the Enhanced Pulverize buff would not remove itself while in town. Fix an issue where Seeking Tornadoes produced by Storm Chaser's aspect would not deal damage. Oh, that's going to make the tornadoes do a lot more damage. I had always been curious about that because the little bit that I ran the tornado build, it did seem at times where like some of them were doing a ton of damage and then some were just like not at all. That's cool. That means it's going to be a big damage boost for tornado build. Fixed an issue where Raven's passive damage did not improve after the skill was upgraded. Fixed an issue where Rabies would deal no damage while standing very close to an enemy. Fixed an issue where Stormclaw's aspect allowed Shred to do extreme amounts of damage. This is the bug that I found. I'm sure somebody else may have maybe realized it. I don't know. But I had brought it up to Moxie, and he was the one that did the billion damage, and then somebody else in his stream did 2 billion damage. But I discovered this accidentally. It was a complete accident. But looks like they fixed it. So Shred is no longer going to be doing those crazy white crits for obscene amount. And I was low level. I mean, I was in my like 60s or 70s and I did like 72 million, which was nuts. But it's cool that they fixed that. So now then probably Tornado sounds like it's still going to be the probably go-to build for, at least for like the best build for Druids, at least for right now. We'll have to see what all the Malignant stones do and everything. Necromancer. Fix an issue where Necromancers could not obtain daggers from the Purveyor of Curiosities. What? Fix an issue where the Necromancer's minions would have their life bonuses deactivated while in town. That's a weird bug, but I don't know why that would be. I mean, not that anything would happen to them. Fixed an issue where the Bone Spear cast through Chilling Wind from an elite enemy would increase the number of generated echoes for the cast. Oh, yeah. That's where the Chilling Wind is where it like slows down projectiles. So like I always noticed that on my rogue. Whenever I was doing Twisting Blades, it would slow it down and sometimes it would do a ton of damage. That sounds like it's the same thing with Bone Spear. Fix an issue with Enhanced Bone Spear could cause erratic movement. Fix an issue where canceling Blood Mist when it's already off, cooldown would be immediately recast it. Wait, fix an issue where canceling Blood Mist when it's already off cooldown would immediately recast it. Oh, so then you would just be perpetually be able to do that? That's interesting. Rogue. Fix an issue where Shadow Step wouldn't trigger the aspect of Uncanny Treachery if the target was killed. I was wondering about that because I had spec'd into that because I liked having an extra Shadow Step, and I never noticed the buff. I was just like, I guess it's just like behind the scenes. You don't actually see it on the buff, but now that makes sense. It wasn't actually procking correctly, or, you weren't getting the proc from the kill. Huh, that's cool. I mean, it wasn't like a huge amount of damage that it gave you, but it was still just, I had never noticed the buff. Fix an issue where advanced penetrating shot would knock down other players in PvP play. Huh? Fix an issue where Twisting Blades would not come back when the ability kill the bloated Corpse Fiend enemy, so it was just that specific enemy. Huh. Fix an issue where the dash skill would not move the full distance if targeting an enemy while using a controller. Fix an issue where the Eldritch Bounty Paragon node granted bonus resistances incorrectly. Fix an issue where Rapid Fire had an extra arrow VFX that behaved erratically. So it's just a VFX issue. Fix an issue where the Awakened Glyphstone wouldn't spawn for rogue players when using improved Barrage. So not a lot that actually, nothing that really got nerfed. Everything kind of stayed the same. They fixed the proc on this, and I'm pretty sure I'm leaning towards Rogue just because I enjoyed Rogue the most. Nothing really. The only thing is this resistance things, but resistances suck, so it's not really a big deal. This is actually just like a tiny buff for specific enemies. So, and this sounds like it was just going to increase damage for whatever. I don't know what the Awakened Glyphstone does, but Sorcerer. Fix an issue where the Firebolt enchantment effect did not contribute to the Combustion Key passive. Oh, did I use Firebolt when I was trying to do my Incinerate build? I don't know if I did or not, because I was trying to... I think I did not contribute to the Combustion Key passive. I might have to try that again, because I tried to make an Incinerate build with the unique wand that gives you extra like little things that shoot off from it and do damage. It did okay damage. I don't know if the Firebolt... Because the Firebolt's going to give you burning, right? Because the Firebolt's going to give you burning, and you can get all the passives from the burning. So, it might actually make the combustion better. I'm trying to remember which one that I used. I'll have to go back through the VOD and see what I used. Fix an issue where the passive stacks generated by align the elements could partially reset in an unexpected way. I don't know if I ever noticed that, or if that was that big of a deal, but it's cool they fixed it. Fixed an issue where casting Deep Freeze would prevent the Arshard enchantment effect from triggering. Oh, that sounds like a buff. Fixed an issue where the aspect of control was applying its damage bonus 3 times for staggered bosses. So all the sorcerers that basically killed Uber Lilith with the Blizzard build, it was a bug, obviously, because it was a damage bonus 3 times for staggered bosses. So Blizzard will probably still not be as good. I mean, it's still good, but it's not going to be good for bossing as it was before, obviously. But I'll be curious to see if I think, what's his name? Northwar. If the Uber Lilith would still be, it probably won't be done obviously nearly as quick. It's 3 times. So that means the fight's going to go a lot longer, because the benefit to doing that was you could just bypass certain parts of the fight, because you would just kill her almost instantly once you staggered her, and then that was it. So you were able to bypass a lot. So yeah, that's nice in a way, because then that's going to make sorcerers actually have to do the fight. Fix an issue where the gravitational aspect was appearing weaker on 2-handed weapons or amulets. I'm not sure what the gravitational aspect was. Fix an issue where the enchantment effect of Chain Lightning had no visual tracking bonus and could also unexpectedly drop off. Fix an issue where Incinerate would immediately cost 30 mana when cast, in addition to the consistent channeling mana cost. Incinerate now properly only costs mana as it's being channeled. Oh, I did notice that. I did notice that my mana, when I briefly ran my Incinerate build, was going down really quick. And I was like, man, why am I having like a mana issue? It's because it was double casting, essentially. It was doing the cost of it plus the channeling cost all at once, when it's supposed to just do a channel cost, is what it sounds like. Only costs mana as it's being channeled. So it was doing an initial cost on top of the channel cost. So it was doing like 40-ish mana just right off the bat. So now it's just going to do its channel cost. I might have to try out the Incinerate build that I had did before. I think I saved it, but it wouldn't be hard to do again. But we'll have to check that out. General fixed multiple instances where players could unnaturally teleport during boss encounters. Fixed multiple where players could unnaturally teleport during boss encounters. I'm not really sure which class that was for. Fixed an issue where chests in the Western ways could be interacted with infinitely. Fixed an issue where the airman NPC couldn't be interacted with in certain situations. Fixed an issue where otherwise breakable objects in the world would not be broken when invading through them. Fixed multiple instances where the player could avoid damage from bosses if they position themselves in a specific location. Fixed an issue where the forged relics could not be interacted with. Fixed an issue where monsters with the cold, bleeding, burning, or corruption affects would freeze players in one hit in nightmare dungeons with the cold enchanted affix. Oh, I saw this happen to so many people, and this happened to me a lot, where it seemed like you would just get chain, like stun locked basically by the cold enchant, but it was a bug. That'll probably actually make pushing certain nightmare dungeons, a higher tier ones, easier, because on some of them you would just get basically cold stun locked essentially. That's cool. They fixed that. Fix an issue where the cold enchanted monsters froze players more often than intended in higher world tiers. Again, that's so less stun lock. That's awesome. Fix an issue where chests could spawn that would prove infinite loot. Okay. Helltide and Fields of Hatreds. Fix an issue where the player could be damaged by the Helltide Firestorm while standing in Jarande. Fix an issue where the enemies resurrected by shamans would continuously drop aberrant cinders and helltides. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing, but that's cool. Fix an issue where chain lightning could bounce infinitely between the caster and another player character standing in the Fields of Hatred town. Oh, that would have been really funny for killing people. Fixed an issue where crackling energy could hit players in the Fields of Hatred town. We know, shocking. Fixed an issue where players could not see other players that they should when re-entering the Alzuda Fields of Hatred zone. Fixed an issue where the certain areas in the Fields of Hatred would incorrectly flagged as a town, rendering players unable to cast skills while still being able to be damaged. Items and aspects. Fix an issue where the cost reduction bonus from Ring of Starless Skies could be unexpectedly drop off. I don't think anybody got that ring, so unless obviously there was at least a couple or a few people that got it and noticed something about it, I guess. But that's one of the uber rare uniques. Fix an issue where the aspect of the protector would trigger its barrier effect after destroying a breakable object. Fix an issue where the Ring of Misfortune had incorrect stats. Fix an issue where the Ember Staff weapon didn't apply the bonus damage to crowd-controlled enemies, which is inherent for all staff type weapons. The Ember Staff is the fire. I'm pretty sure the Fireball Staff didn't apply the bonus correctly to crowd-controlled enemies, which is inherent. So that's going to be a buff to that, I guess, if you're making a Fireball build. Fix an issue where any character menu interaction would reset the bonus granted by the Inner Calm aspect. Fix an issue with the maximum life affix on the Mark of Conclave quest item was scaling improperly. Fix an issue where the aspect power would also increase when upgrading an item at the blacksmith. The level requirement for sacred items will now cap at level 60. The level requirement for ancestral items will now cap at level 80. Fix an issue where the Mother's Embrace unique room did not trigger properly with several abilities. So that might provide some more value for the Mother's Embrace. I guess in certain builds, I don't know. I didn't use any builds that used it, but I kept one just in case. That's why I hoarded a lot of the stuff that I did, is because You never know with changes. Something could just gain a lot of value just by a change that they made. Monsters. Fix an issue where items of higher power than intended were dropping from rare monsters. Oh, so all those people who were like posting TikToks or making videos of like, oh, you need to farm these special rare monsters because you get higher item level than anywhere else in the game. It was a bug. Ha. Fixed an issue where the warg's jumping attack dealt no damage when passing through the player. Fixed an issue where the pitless girl monster would endlessly run around in circles. Fixed an issue where the lightning enhanced champion Goatman would fail to deal damage to the player. Fix an issue where monsters with the suppressor affix would be immune to damage from abilities that started initially outside the immunity circle. I noticed that with twisting blades, a lot of the times when I would fight something out of suppressor bubble and, you know, kill something with twisting blades and I'd go in and start attacking it, I would have to like start doing twisting blades on the actual suppressed elite mob in order to do the damage. Because even when I got the twisting blades back, it wasn't doing any damage. So that was a bug. Cool. I thought it was just something with the suppressor built into it that suppressed outside damage coming in and you couldn't do damage, but it was a bug. It wasn't working as intended, which is nice. Fix an issue where the clones of a monster with a suppressor affix could also have the suppressor affix. Oh yeah, that's really annoying. I've seen that happen. Fix an issue where treasure goblins would behave erratically if initially engaged from a long distance. I can't really say I like experienced that, but cool they fixed that. Fixed multiple other issues where monster behavior could not perform properly and could be exploited in some cases. Quest and events. We should go through these anyways. We'll just go through everything. We're about halfway through the patch notes. God, there's a lot of patch notes. Fix an issue where the progress bar could not fill during the caravan under siege event. Fix an issue where the future remains enemies could remain idle during the defiled ground event. Fix an issue where champion enemies could not spawn during the ancient obelisk event. Yeah, I'm just not going to read these because these are quests and events. These are all just fixes. There's nothing really that's of, big importance. User interface and user experience. Let's just quickly scan this. I don't think anything. This is all just UI stuff, so meh. Miscellaneous. Fix an issue with completion. Completion music. I started playing before the boss was defeated. Fix an issue where players couldn't send BattleNet friend requests to friends playing on console. That's weird. Fix an issue where players could confirm if hardcore mode was enabled after logging into a new character. Fix an issue where players that have an unlocked world tier could be invited to a world tier, higher world tier party. I don't know. You could do that. Huh. Fix an issue where players could transfer leadership of a clan. Oh, couldn't. Fix an issue where the sender of the party invite would not be informed that the player failed due to incompatibility with the campaign prologue progress. Fix an issue where the Nefarian spear would duplicate in the cutscene where the players pick it up. Fix an issue where the Meshef's camel made no noises. Fix an issue where there's no sound and Laura kicks off. Yeah, if you want to read these, the UI and the quest stuff, I'm not super worried about. I mean, it's cool they fixed all this stuff, but I'm not really super worried about it. Loading screen updates. We've added more dynamic loading screens with the release of Seed in the Malignant. This includes adding more assets to the loading screen, such as your player character. Cool. That's neat. I like that. Gameplay updates. Okay, let's see. How much more do we have? Oh, balance. Okay, yeah, we still got quite a bit to do. Okay, we're in for the long haul here. Let's do this. Gameplay updates. General. Altar of Lilith unlocks are now account-wide. Map discovery is now account-wide. Whispers will no longer reward sigil dust. Overall loot quality has been significantly improved for silent chests. I thought those were really underwhelming rewards. That's a huge buff in my opinion. I love that because I would buy those keys and I would open it and every single time it was just really crap gear. That is going to be really nice. I wonder though if you'll be able to get uniques from those because then that would make it really worthwhile to find those because you don't find them everywhere and they're just like few and far between. I feel like with something that's just kind of like not there a lot and you happen to find on accident every single time, unless you're just like farming where each of the locations is, it would be nice to get uniques for those, but we'll see. It says significantly improved, but again, it's ambiguous of what that means. So I don't know. Could just means maybe they just get legendaries and stuff. So who knows? Well, I'm sure somebody will test it out. The channel time for leave dungeon ability has been increased from 3 to 5 seconds. We have generally reduced the tendency for many monsters to move around in combat so that melee characters don't have to chase down their enemies as much. Oh, that's going to be huge for melee. That's so huge. That's awesome. Added PS5 DualSense Edge wireless controller support for PC. What? Okay. World Tier 2, or World Tier changes. World Tier 2 has had the following bonuses added. Bonus gold increased from 15 to 20%, and monsters now drop 15% more items. So it's funny, I saw some content creators talking about, which is better to farm 1 or 2. It might actually be better now to farm 2 when you do your seasonal character because you're going to get more items. Let's see what the developer's note says. We like where World Tier has landed overall, but are increasing its reward pace to better align with its difficulty. Bravo. So that means, it was a slight XP increase. I forget what it is. It's not a lot, but now that you're going to get more items, it might actually be better to do that so you can gear your character faster. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure somebody's going to test that. Level scaling inside dungeons and most overall territories have been adjusted in World Tiers 3 and 4. Monsters will begin to trail behind the player in level after a certain point, up to a maximum of 5 levels behind. So maximum, it's always going to be 5 levels behind you at the maximum. This change does not affect World Bosses, Legion events, Fields of Hatred, Helltime, or Nightmare dungeons. Oh, interesting. So that means at level 100, if you go to a regular-ass dungeon, the mobs will be 95. And that's the lowest they'll go. We want to give players, the developers know here, we want to give players a better sense of their power progression and mastery over the world while still challenging themselves with structured in-game activities. Okay. I guess that's cool. World Tier 3 example. If the player's level is below 55, the monster's level is 55. If the player's level is 56 to 60, the monster's level is 55. If the player's level is 61, the monster's level is 56. If the player's level is 62, the monster level is 57, etc. From this point, the monsters will be -5 until the World Tier 3's max monster level of 70. That's cool. I guess that's going to make it seems like they're cleaning up and like kind of lining up where the level. So I feel like, is that going to make it easier for leveling? I wonder. Or is it going to make it worse for leveling? Because if by default, the monsters, before you do like Nightmare Dungeons and stuff, are always going to be 5 levels behind you once you reach 60 plus or 61 plus, then at that point, you're going to be doing Nightmare Dungeons at that point anyways. Never mind. Okay, so you're going to be doing Nightmare Dungeons at that point anyways. Never mind. So I guess this would be like if you didn't want to do Nightmare Dungeons, you probably would have to optimize where you're going to go for XP, unless you're okay with just killing things lower than you and you don't really care. But if you want to optimize your leveling, you're just going to be doing Nightmare Dungeons anyway. Yeah, I guess so. It doesn't really matter. I wonder why they did that. Well, it says right here. It says right here why they did that. They still wanted it to be challenging. So they didn't want stuff to be so low level that you were just plowing through it. They still wanted it to be somewhat of a challenge. World Tier 4 example. So it's 61 plus on World Tier 3 when you see that 5 difference. And then anything below that, it's just going to be 55. On World Tier 4, once you hit 81 plus is where you're going to see the 5 level difference there. Experience. Reward experience for completion whispers in World Tiers 3 and 4 has been significantly increased. A lot of people talked about how it was very underwhelming to do whispers. That's nice. We have observed that the experience bonus rewarded for killing higher level monsters escalates too fast when compared to the relative challenge involved. We still want to reward players for taking on this challenge by encouraging them to participate in power leveling together instead of one player killing enemies while other members of the party waits at the dungeon's entrance. Okay. We are adjusting bonus experience rewards for killing monsters that are higher level than the player. Let's go! Oh, It's not a lot, but still. Preseason, 1 level 15, 2 levels 20, 3 levels 25%. That's why you always wanted to kill something 3 levels or higher before. Postseason, there's a 1.5% bonus level up to 10 levels. So at 10 levels, you're going to have a 15% bonus. Oh, so it's a nerf. So this is a nerf. So instead of it being 25%, it's going to be at the maximum 15%. So example, at level 1, 1.5, level 2. So, oh, that's a big nerf. That's a 10% nerf. And even if you did something 2 levels higher, you're only getting 3%. So even at 3 levels above, so what you would get 25% bonus, that means you're only going to get a 4.5% bonus. So that means you're going to have to be doing those higher keys. I guess it doesn't really matter because once you have a really nice enough build, because I was even doing that on my druid, where once your build is like kind of fleshed out and you're kind of powerful enough, you're already fighting stuff 10 levels higher. But that's still that's a 10% buff or nerf rather at the highest, mind you, at the highest level cap, at the highest level amount that you can get for the XP bonus. That's gonna suck. That's gonna prolong obviously how long it takes to get to 100. We're also adjusting experience rewards for monsters levels offsets for higher world tiers. Current world tier offsets up to 3, up to 10, up to 100. We're changing this up to 3, up to 6, up to 10. So wait, we're adjusting experience rewards for monster level offsets for higher world tiers. For example, you were level 1, your friends bring you to World Tour 4, and you leave at the entrance of a dungeon. They start killing level 100 monsters. Prior to Season 1 of the Malignant, you got the level 100 times 1 plus 25%. After Season 1, you get level 10 monster experience. Oh, and that's a huge nerf. So they're really nerfing power leveling. So you're not going to be able to power level. I mean, you can power level, but it's severely nerfed. Like severely nerfed. They're severely nerfing power leveling. They're nerfing the leveling experience, which I know Shroud, I had saw Shroud saying that he said it was too easy to level. Like he thought he wanted it to be a little bit longer. And a lot of people were complaining that you know, once you got to 100, there wasn't a whole lot to do. So I guess the thought here is that if we prolong how long it takes to level, if we limit how much you can power level, it's going to take players longer times to get to the cap. And so it's less time there at level 100 because they're spending that time leveling to 100, I guess is the mentality there. I don't know. We'll have to see how it pans out. Could be good, could be good, could be bad. Yeah, I don't know. Helltide. Developers note, we're looking to increase the danger and Helltide's risk reward gameplay by making the monsters a bit more challenging and the tortured gift of mysteries harder to open. Okay. I guess people were farming. I mean, I always farmed them, especially on the 4 ones. I would farm 4 of them and be done with like 30 minutes remaining, or maybe like 20 minutes remaining. It was pretty easy. Helltide monsters are now 3 levels higher than the player instead of 2. Okay. So then it'll be good for XP. I mean, slightly better. I mean, 1.5% better. The torture gift chest had its cost increased to $250 from $175, so that's an extra $75. That won't be that hard. I think getting the 4 chests will now just take the whole hour instead of just, you know, the 40-ish, the 30 to 40 minutes. So, meh. All interactable objects in Helltide zones now have a small chance of dropping aberrant cinders. That's cool. Now we are to the meat and potatoes, the balance updates for all the classes. So developers note, as our community continues to battle the burning hells, the builds emerging from new players have shocked and delighted us. We've chosen to focus Season of Malignant's balance updates on clear itemization disparities over redesigns of class features. The class changes are largely focused on numeric increase to skill upgrades and legendary aspects that players haven't yet found compelling. Additionally, we're changing critical strike damage paragon glyphs to empower all damage instead of only core skills. Nice. to enable more build strategies. There are also a few class stat decreases on sources, which grant extreme amounts of damage, healing, or unstoppable. In general, we prefer build-specific changes to be bonuses instead of decreases. But we feel these changes are necessary for the overall health of the game. Diablo 4 is a game that is continually evolving through its seasons, thus the adjustments we make will evolve with them. The following balance updates apply to both Seasonal and Eternal Realm. So let's start with the Barbarian. Skills. Violent double swing vulnerable duration increased from 1 second to 2 seconds. Furious upheaval damage bonus per stack increased from 3 to 5%. Power charge cooldown reduction is now capped to 3 targets for a maximum of 9 seconds of cooldown reduction. Tactical ground stomp fury gain increased from 25 to 40. Enhanced death blows damage bonus to bosses increased from 100 to 150%. These are big buffs. Enhanced steel grasp vulnerable duration increased from 2.5 to 3 seconds. Enhanced rupture damage increased from 30 to 45%. Sheesh. Warrior's rupture attack speed bonus increased from 20 to 30%, and duration increased from 4 to 5 seconds. Fighter's ruptured healing increased from 15 to 18% maximum life. Passives. Hamstring now only slows healthy enemies, and slow amount increased from 10, 20, 30% to 20, 40, 60%. Now only slows healthy enemies. Oh, so if they're not healthy, it doesn't do anything? That's interesting. I wonder why is it only to healthy? That's weird. Cut the bone bleeding damage bonus to vulnerable reduced from 6, 12, 18% to 5, 10, 15%. I guess bleed was doing too much. They didn't like that. Paragon. Wrath Glyphs bonus now affects all damage instead of just core skills. Aspects. Relentless Berserker's aspect berserker duration increased from 1 to 2%. That's a 100% buff. Battle Mad aspect berserking duration increased from 1 to 2.5 to 2 to 3.5 seconds. Sheesh. Brawler aspects damage increased from 1 to 1.3 to 1.5 to 1.8. Aspect of burning rage damage increased from 0.08 to 0.14 to 0.22 to 0.28. Aspect of Iron Warrior damage, the reduction rate increased from 15 to 25% to 18 to 28%. Slaking aspect, lucky hit chance increased from 30 to 50% from 30 to 50% to 40 to 60%. Aspect of Ancestral Echoes, lucky hit chance increased from 40 to 50% to 50 to 60%. Weapon Master's aspect, lucky hit chance increased from 32 to 50% to 37 to 55%. Items. Oh, I see Gores. Gore's devastating grips now explodes every 2 seconds or after it ends, and its hit cap has been removed. Oh, interesting. Field of Crimson bleeding damage bonus increased from 10 to 15%. Not super familiar. Barbarians, let me know in the comments what you think. I have no idea if that's going to be good or bad. We'll have to see. Druid. Enhanced Claw attack speed bonus increased from 10 to 15%. Storm Strike damage reduction reduced from 25 to 15%. I guess they were too tanky. Boulder damage increased from 33 to 46%. That's a big buff. Savage Trample Spirit gain increased from 20 to 40%. Trample Slide might be the thing to go now. Prime Lacerate healing increased from 3 to 5%. That's a pretty big buff. Cataclysm lightning damage increased from 64 to 77%, and tornado damage from 19 to 23%. That's a 4% bonus. What is that overall? That's like a 20% buff. Sheesh, almost. That's almost a 20% buff to tornadoes. So, dude, I might have to play Druid because, okay, so here's the other thing. So the Storm Chaser aspect wasn't working properly, right? And so some of the times when they were chasing after mobs, they weren't doing damage. So not only is that going to be working as intended, but there's about a 20% buff, maybe a little bit less than that, to tornado damage. Dude, bro, tornadoes are going to be fucking nuts. And there's not any nerfs. I don't see anything so far with nerfs to the... Dude, tornado's going to be nuts. I might be playing Druid. Supreme Cataclysm, vulnerable duration increased from 2 to 3%. That's a what? 100% bonus? Yeah. Prime Cataclysm duration increased from 2 to 4%. That's a 200% bonus. Oh, yeah, that's a 100% bonus as well. Sheesh. Or that's a 50% bonus. Sorry. Prime Grizzly Rage now grants Unstoppable for 6 seconds instead of while active. Yeah, having Unstoppable the entire time, especially with the Lightning Shred build, you had Unstoppable the entire time you have Grizzly Rage, and there was almost always permanent, uptime on Grizzly Rage. So that's a nice buff. I mean, they were a little broken, but bruh, tornado damage though, dude. Plus the Storm Chasers working properly, that's huge. All right, passive. Provocation threshold required for guaranteed overpower reduced from 35, 30, 25 to 24, 20, 16 seconds. Threshold required for guaranteed overpower. Oh, so that provocation, I'm not 100% what that is, but that seems like a huge buff. So that means they're lowering the seconds that it takes to guarantee overpower. I was really curious about that because there wasn't a lot of builds, it seemed like, that actually utilized overpower. Although with druids, it seemed easier to get that or to use the overpower. So this might be a way to build into overpower. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be good, but all right. Spirit boons. Masochistic now also requires a lucky hit chance of 75%. Masochistic now also requires a lucky hit chance of 75%. I guess in order to utilize it? That's weird. Prickle Skin Thorns increased from 0.1 to 0.15. Iron Feather maximum life increased from 10 to 14%. Bolster Fortify increased from 10 to 15% of life. Overload damage increased from 0.2 to 0.25. Paragon. Spirit Glyphs bonus now affects all damage instead of just core skills. Yeah, that's a nice change. The same thing with the crit damage. That's going to be a good way for people to make builds not just centered around core abilities, which for druids it was fine. A lot of it was core abilities anyways, but for a lot of other classes to utilize other stuff. Aspects of Calm Breeze, lucky hit chance increased from 5 to 10 to 7 to 12%. I'm not even sure what that is. Balance aspects maximum spirit increased from 30 to 50 to 60 to 80. Sheesh. Aspect of Tempest damage bonus increased from 7 to 15 to 10 to 18%. Skinwalker's aspect healing increased from 0.05 to 0.1 to 0.07 to 0.12. Symbiotic aspect cooldown reduction reduced from 4 to 8 to 3 to 5. Symbiotic aspect cooldown. I want to say, I don't think I ran that, but we'll look at some of these. Aspect of Stampede damage bonus increased from 10 to 20 to 16 to 26%. Shepherd's damage bonus increased from 6 to 8 to 6 to 10. So they only increased the latter part of that. And items. Insatiable Fury Werebear skill ranks increased from 2 to 3. And Mad Wolf's Glee's Werewolf skill ranks increased from 2 to 3. Cool. I have both of these. Mine would be running Druid. The Druid seems nice because the Tornado thing seems nuts. Because with that buff to the tornado damage on top of Storm Chaser working properly, that's going to be a big buff. That's going to be a huge buff. Because you got to think, if you had 4 tornadoes up and only like 2 of those were working, dude, and who knows? Because I felt like it was like every single time I was running tornadoes, I was like, why does it show only some of these doing damage and some of them aren't? Dude, that's going to be huge. All right, let's look at Necro. Didn't really play Necro, so we'll just see what this says. Maybe there's going to be something crazy with like minions. Oh, this is a long one, actually. Initiates Decompose Slow increased from 30 to 50%. That's a lot. Paranormal Sever cast required for vulnerable reduced from 4 to 3. Enhanced Blood Surge healing increased from 2.5 to 3% of maximum life. Enhanced Blood Lance damage reduction for piercing reduced from 15 to 10%. Bone Prison initial essence gain increased from 15 to 25%. Abhorrent Iron Mating healing increased from 5 to 7%. Golems move faster unhindered through enemies when their cooldown is activated. Supreme Blood Wave leaves behind blood orbs earlier in its path. Ray Skeleton, Corpse Explosion, and Corp Tendrils range for auto-targeting corpses on mouse and keyboard increased by 50%. That's huge. A lot of the times when I would use Corp Tendrils, I had to be pretty close in proximity. This is going to be nice to be able to just, I don't want to say click anywhere, but be easier to be able to click at least closer or a bigger range and proximity of when you click. Raised skeletal priest bonus damage increased from 20 to 30%. It's not bad. 50% gain there. Raised skeletal priest healing increased from 10 to 15%. Another 50% increase there. Passive. Avulsion bonus damage to vulnerable reduced from 6, 12, 18% to 5, 10, 15%. Not sure what Avulsion is. Transfusion minion healing increased from 15, 30, 45 to 20, 40, 60%. Drain vitality lucky hit chance increased from 25 to 30%. Amplified damage increased from 3, 6, 9 to 4, 8, 12. So maybe more people will use Amplify, I guess is what they're trying to do there. Book of the Dead. Necromancer minions will now automatically resummon after respawning during a world boss fight. Skeletal Warrior Defenders upgrade Thorns. Inherited increased from 40 to 50%. Shadow Skeletal Mage upgrade attacks required for an additional Shadow Bolt reduced from 5 to 4. Bone Skeletal Mage upgrade fortify amount increased from 11 to 20%. Ire Golems upgrade attacks required for slam attack reduced from 5 to 4. Paragon. Enhanced Glyphs bonus now affect all damage instead of just core skills. Again, what they talked about earlier about increasing, the damage for everybody. Aspect. Splintering Aspect Bone Shard damage bonus reduced from 50 to 100% to 30 to 60%. Aspect of Plunging Darkness bonus increase from 50 to 100 to 75 to 125%. Coldbringer's Aspect Blizzard cooldown reduced from 10 to 8%. Aspect of Hungry Blood chance to fire a Bloodline increased from 10 to 20 to 13 to 23. Blood Soaked Aspect damage increased from 0.15 to 0.2 to 0.24 to 0.31. Aspect of Ultimate Shadow damage increased from 0.16 to 0.22 to 0.43 to 0.48. They literally doubled that. Aspect of Ultimate Shadow damage. Damn, that's fucking nuts. That's doubling. They literally doubled it. More than doubled it. Holy, that means a shadow damage build. Aspect of Ultimate Shadow. I'm not sure what that aspect does, but that seems like a huge buff. What the fuck? Aspect of Grasping Veins critical strike damage bonus reduced from 30 to 60% to 20 to 40%. Osseous Gel aspect bonus Bone Storm duration increased from 4 to 8 to 5 to 10. Aspect of the Dam damage bonus increased from 30 to 40% to 40 to 50%. Bloodbathe aspect echo damage reduction reduced from 70 to 60 to 60 to 50. Aspect of reanimation skeletons damage bonus increased from 20 to 30 to 30 to 40. It sounds like they were just nerfing Bone Spear a little bit, at least just kind of, not necessarily Bone Spear, but a lot of the stuff that affects it. Yeah. Items, Bloodless Scream Essence gain increased from 2 to 5 to 7 to 10. That's a pretty big buff. Deathless Visage increased damage from 0.25 to 0.35 to 2.8 to 0.38. A little bit of a buff there. All right, we're going to go to Rogue. This is what I was leaning on, what I'm going to be playing, but we'll have to see. All right. Advanced Rapid Fire duration increased from 3 to 5 seconds. We have Caltrep's cast speed increased by 15%. Enhanced Cold Imbue Lucky Hit chance increased from 30 to 40%. Enhanced Smoke Grenade damage increased from 15 to 20%. Methodical Dash maximum cooldown reduction increased from 3 to 4 seconds. Concealment Stealth duration increased from 4 to 5 seconds. Enhanced Dark Shroud's chance to not be consumed increased from 10 to 14%. Supreme Death Trap cooldown reduction increased from 10 to 12 seconds. Reduction increased from 10. Supreme Death Trap cooldown reduction increased. Oh, so you can do Death Trap more, I guess. That's cool. Passives. Victimized Lucky Hit chance increased from 30 to 35%. Siphoning Strike now also requires Lucky Hit chance of 75%. Rugged damage reduction, damage against over a time effects increased from 5, 10, 15 to 6, 12, 18. Mending Obscurity healing per second while stealth increased from 3, 6, 9 to 4, 8, 12. Aftermath energy restored increased from 25, 50, 75 to 30, 60, 90. Paragon combat glyphs now affect all damage instead of just core skills. Eldritch Bounty legendary node increased from 6 to 9 seconds. Specialization. Preparation ultimate cooldown reduction increased from 4 to 5 seconds. Legendary aspects. Aspects of volatile shadows damage increased from 0.1075 to 0.193 to 2.2 to 0.27. It's a pretty big buff. Icy Alchemist aspect chill increased from 15 to 25. Shadow Slicer's aspect damage increased from 25 to 35 to 80 to 200. What the actual fuck? Shadow Slicer's aspect. What the shit? Toxic Alchemist damage increased from 0.08 to 0.13 to 0.11 to 0.16. Vengeful aspect lucky hit chance increased from 30 to 50 to 40 to 60. Aspect of imitated imbuements duration increased from 5 to 9 seconds. Aspect of stolen vigor healing increased from 0.02 to 0.06 to 0.04 to 0.08. Aspect of lethal dusk life of kill duration increased from 4 to 6 seconds. Aspect of Noxic Ice bonus damage increased from 10 to 25 to 14 to 29. Aspect of Elusive Menace dodge increased from 1 to 5 to 3 to 7. Items. Sky Hunter's energy drain increased from 15 to 25 to 20 to 30. Grasp of Shadow lucky hit chance increased from 20 to 30 to 24 to 34. This is what I was most looking forward to. I think the biggest thing, what was there like a huge buff to? This right here, Shadow Slicers. We'll have to take a look at that because that is essentially quadrupling the damage increase on that. That is huge, but we'll have to see what the Shadow Slicer actually does. I'm not 100%. We'll take a look, but I am curious. I'm leaning towards Druid now. We'll see what Sorcerer does. All right. Enhanced Charge Bolts damage increased from 24 to 30 and now benefits from skill ranks. Nice. Destructive Charge Bolts damage reduction increased from 25 to 20 to 25. Destructive Incinerate damage reduction increased from 20 to 25. Ice Blades cast cleanup has been tightened, allowing players to act if it's cast sooner. Firebolt initial damage increased from 10 to 18. Wizard's Firewall maximum increased mana generation increased from 25 to 35. Wizard's Blizzard core skill mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20. Ooh. And Supreme Deep Freeze cooldown reduction increased from 50 to 100%. Blizzard still might be good, it looks like, because if they're reducing the mana cost, that means you'll just be able to cast more. You won't be able to do the huge stagger damages, but still, it'll be good for mobbing. Passives. Elemental Dominance now also affects mastery skills instead of just core skills. Potent Warding duration increased from 3 to 9. Protection Barrier duration increased from 2 to 3. Align the elements damage reduction per second increased from 123 to 369. Oh, that's huge. Mana Shield damage reduction increased from 5, 10, 15 to 7, 14, 21. Devouring Blades bonus critical damage reduced from 10, 20, 30 to 7, 14, 21. So that's going to be a nerf. So everybody that was running Firebolt for the burning to get the damage bonus, they're nerfing it at the top end by 9%, which is pretty big nerf there. Devouring Blade bonus critical strike damage to immobilize reduced from 25, 50, 75 to 10, 20, 30. Bro, that is a huge fucking nerf. That is huge. That's so huge. Fiery Surge mana regeneration increased from 10, 20, 30 to 15, 30, 45. That's a pretty big buff. Paragon. Destruction Glyph, same thing. Now applies to all damage instead of core. Enchantments. Spark Enchantment. Chance to form crackling energy increased from 10 to 14%. Frozen Orb Enchantment. Chance to cast increased from 20 to 30. Incinerate Enchantment. Cooldown reduced from 18 to 14. Hydra Enchantment mana threshold reduced from 300 to 200. Legendary Aspect. There's a bunch of these. Aspect of Efficiency mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20 to 15 to 25 and now also affects mastery skills. Interesting. Aspect of Armageddon damage increased from 0.205 to 0.25 to 0.35 to 0.4, almost doubling that. Aspect of Shattered Stars damage increased from 0.15 to 0.2 to 0.2 to 0.25. Serpentine aspect duration reduction reduced from 30 to 20 to 20 to 10. That's nice. So you'll be able to cast multiple Hydras with at least a lesser amount of a increase on your cooldown reduction. Glacial aspect ice bonus damage from frozen reduced from 25 to 50. Glacial aspect damage increased from 0.2 to 0.3 to 0.25 to 0.35. So I'm going to reduce the bonus damage. So they nerfed the bonus damage, but they increased the spike damage, I think, to offset that. But no, it's still a nerf overall. Aspect of the Frozen Tundra ice spikes increased from 0.25 to 0.35 to 0.3 to 0.4. Aspect of Frozen Wake ice spikes increased from 0.2 to 0.3 to 0.25 to 0.35, and chill increased from 10 to 15%. Aspect of Biting Cold, chance to apply vulnerable to frozen enemies, increased from 25 to 35% to 30 to 40%. Encased Aspect of Life and Mana Restore per second increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 30. Stable Aspect, chance for free cast increased from 5 to 10 to 7 to 12. Aspect of Splintering Energy, chance to spawn additional Lightning Spear increased from 11 to 20 to 41 to 50. Damn. Aspect of Unbroken Tether, chance for additional chain lightning chains increased from 25 to 30 to 30 to 40. Items. Gloves of the Illuminator Fireball damage reduction reduced from 60 to 75 to 50 to 65. Uzalurum critical chance for movement speeds increased from 15 to 20 to 20 to 30. Let's go. Essador's Overflowing Cameo, chance to release Lightning Nova increased from 10 to 15%. All right. And then these are just, looks like general fixes on some stuff. Overall, I would definitely say of all the classes, Druid's probably got the most love there. I mean, there's a lot of buffs and like a few nerfs throughout, but the tornado stuff, I think that's going to be the most overpowered. It's going to be the most overpowered because they fixed the Storm Chaser. So those tornadoes that weren't doing damage are now going to be doing damage. And then on top of that, they buffed the damage by 4%, which overall is almost a 20% increase, which is nuts. That's so bonkers. That's so crazy. Yeah, tornadoes are going to be crazy. They're going to be really crazy. So general changes to aspects. Aspects of Disobedience maximum stacks reduce from 10 to 60, reducing maximum bonus armor from 25 to 50 to 15 to 30. I guess they just wanted to make this not like something that everybody ran because it was so good. So they're lowering the value of it. I still think everybody will use it, but just because it's still giving you bonus armor, but it's just not as good. But there maybe there'll be something else. Aspect of Retribution, bonus damage to stun reduced from 20 to 40 to 10 to 20. Yeah, a lot of people were using these on the burns for Uber Lilith, so that's probably why they took that away. Exploiter's Aspect, bonus damage to Unstoppable reduced from 20 to 50 to 20 to 40. Not a big nerf, but another nerf there. Starlight Aspect Resource restores increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. This is basically every single time you heal, you would get energy or whatever your resources. Items. The Butcher's Cleaver slow increased from 40 to 75 to 61 to 75. Drop rate adjustments, increased bonus to drop Ancestral and Nightmare Dungeons from 5 to 10%. That's nice. Remove 20% shot. Removed a 20% chance to drop an extra equipment item from Elite Monsters outside of Nightmare Dungeons and Helltides. Oh, that's cool. So really pushing Nightmare Dungeons into Helltides. Increased chance to drop to an extra equipment from Elite Monsters in Nightmare Dungeons and Helltides by 10%. So they removed the 20%, but then also buffed it 10. So now then what? It's 30%? Is that what that's implying? Nightmare Dungeons now have a 50% chance to drop a second legendary item upon completion. Bruh. Bruh. Bruh, bruh, bruh. Woo. Nightmare Dungeons now give 3 rare items upon completion, up from 1. That's cool. So Nightmare Dungeons, again, they're just really pushing that. Monsters. Increase monster HP scaling from 85 to 100% bonus per extra player in a party. So that's a 15% bonus or buff to HP. Miscellaneous. Adjusted the scaling of Greed Shrine to improve its effectiveness throughout the game. More bosses now drop potions more often. There's no longer a limit to how many materials you can refine into higher materials at once. Oh, let's go. I thought that was the stupidest thing, that you can only do 20 at a time. Let's go. That's the biggest buff in the whole fucking patch notes. Let's go. All right. Developers notes, item affixes. Many affixes are too efficient and are outshining alternatives. Yeah, we're looking to refine outliers, improve the number of meaningful choices on competitive slots, and increase the overall flexibility of items. We know these changes will reduce the total amount of possible power a character can possess, so we'll be monitoring how these changes affect players' ability to conquer expected milestones throughout the season. We're increasing the availability of affixes to below to make them easier to include different builds. Controlled impaired duration reduction can now appear on pants. Okay. Barrier generation can now appear for all classes. It will also begin dropping later in game. Lucky hit chance while you have a barrier can now appear for all classes, reduced by roughly 12% on an helm and 20% when on an amulet or offhand. So they reduce the lucky hit. Interesting. Mastery skill damage, newly added, can appear on sorcerer weapons. Scales identically to core skill damage. Mastery skill damage. So only sorcerer weapons got that. Interesting. Newly added can appear on sorcerer weapons. Scales identically to core skill damage. Huh. Mastery skill. I don't remember what mastery skills there are for. I guess Blizzard technically would be on. Ooh, because then if you got Blizzard, boy, you'd be doing some Blizzard. Okay, maybe Blizzard. We'll have to look. Developers note the core stat bonus on weapons has been overperforming, so we're pulling back on this bonus. Yeesh. Strength, 50% stronger when on weapons, 25% stronger when on weapons. Dexterity, so these are all nerfed by 25%. Damn. Cooldown reduction affixes often felt mandatory due to their raw power. We imagine cooldown reduction will remain a highly desirable stat, but the penalty for now prioritizing it won't be as harsh. Cooldown reduction reduced by roughly 30%. Imbuement skill down reduction reduced by 30%. Trap skill reduced by 30%. Hold on. Cooldown reduction often felt mandatory, but the penalty for not prioritizing it won't be as harsh. Oh, that's shitty. Damn. We're seeing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage often viewed as hard requirement for a build success in Diablo 4. We believe it is a step towards allowing more builds to flourish, and we'll continue to make changes in support of this. Critical strike damage reduced by 17%. Lightning critical strike damage reduced about 17%. Critical strike damage with all the ones that apply by 17%. Vulnerable damage reduced by 40%. What the actual fuck? I mean, I guess it's nice in a way, so you're just not like, okay, I have to have vulnerable crit on rings, basically. I felt like that was mandatory. You know what I mean? Like, it did feel mandatory. Interesting. Disparities in inherent affixes can rule some weapons out before the rest of their stats are even rolled. These are receiving even harsher reductions than their normal affix counterparts to increase weapon flexibility. Cooldown reduction inherent in offense reduced by 35%. God damn. Critical strike damage in swords reduced by 50%. Vulnerable on crossbows by 65%. Oh, so it was vulnerable on crossbows, what I was saying. Yeah. So then that's going to encourage people to use bows instead of just, okay, as a rogue, you have to have a crossbow. Like you only want a crossbow. I'm all for this. I'm all for encouraging build diversity. But that's so much. Holy crap. Developers note damage bonus to crowd control enemies was overperforming relative to the ease of activating it versus stricter crowd controlled type specific affixes. So they're reducing damage to crowd controlled enemies decreased by 30%, damage to frozen enemies by 20%. Sheesh. Developers note, we have seen that skillful players are frequently slaughtering monsters many levels above their own. We want to support this, but the current situation is beyond what we believe is correct for the long-term health of the game. To chase this goal, we're shifting power to many offensive affixes from defensive affixes. We know this will make our endgame content more deadly, particularly for those chasing our pinnacle boss, an encounter not meant for the faint of heart. Overcoming the pinnacle boss will take every ounce of grit you can muster and all tools at your disposal. We will continue to evaluate feedback for the community and make changes to our combat mechanics. So we're shifting back from many offensive from defensive affixes. Okay, so physical damage increased by 25%. Fire damage increased by 25%. So fire, cold, lightning, poison, shadow, and non-physical are increased by 25%, and physical. Physical overtime, fire overtime, shadow overtime increased by 40%. Damage with two-handers, 25%. Dual wield, 25%. Range, 25%. Damage with skill swap to new weapons, 25%. While in human form, 25%. While shapeshifted, 25%. Blood skill damage, bone skill, 25%. Brawling increased by 35%. Companion skill damage by 33%. Conjuration, 33%. Brawling, 33%. Cutthroat, 25%. Darkness, 25%. Earth 25, Frost 25, Imbue 25, Imbuement skill 25, Imbuement skill 33%, Marksman skill 25%, Piracy skill 25%, Shock skill 25%, Storm skill 25%, Summoning skill 25%, Trap skill 33%, Weapon Mastery 33%, Werebear Werewolf 25%, total armor reduced by 30%. Attack speed for 4 seconds after dodging increased by 20%. Damage for seconds. Damage for 4 seconds after dodging attack increased by 20%. Total armor while in Werebear reduced by 25%. While in Werebear, I mean, they were really tanky. Damage reduction from close enemies reduced by 20%. Distant enemies 20%. Damage reductions from enemies that are bleeding, burning, poisoning by 25%. Or affected by a shadow over time, 25%. Damage reduction by 45%. Reduced by 25%. So they're making us a little bit easier to kill, but they're buffing the damage affixes on a lot of these. So interesting, huh? And that's it. Oh well, yeah. Let me hear your thoughts down below. Overall, I do feel like they're trying to encourage different build diversity. I don't really know all of these are going to play out right, because a lot of these changes with all of these classes, we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, right? Because we're only seeing what they've changed, what they've buffed, what they've nerfed, how they have adjusted affixes, right? But how these all interact with the malignant stones that we're going to get, I think is really where it's going to show which of these are really shining and which of these are not. Now, we can test these in the Eternal Realm, so we're going to be able to see, how good these are. I might actually switch to a Tornado build. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, as always, stay spicy out there, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Later.